Hey everybody, it's Dustin back again for another video talking about Knightscope today. This is Dustin's Dollars. Real quick before I begin, let me remind you I am not a financial advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only, and I'm not affiliated with the companies I'm talking about here. Everything here is my own opinion. That being said, hey, if the last stream on Thursday evening after our first day of trading in Knightscope was the support group because man we got hammered. This should be a celebration, right? If you're looking at it, I mean you're looking at the same thing I am. I mean, yeah, we should all be counting our newfound riches, right? Up 175% in one day. That's insane, absolutely incredible. I'm thrilled. And then after hours closed up 36% on strong volume. If you look at this, the volume on day one of trading was like 1.6 million shares, and today, today Friday, last trading day was 29 million shares. So what's that? 15 times the amount of volume, roughly, something like that. More than 10 times the amount of volume. That is incredible. So yeah, I don't know what changed from Thursday to Friday. I mean, I have some speculation that I'll get to in a couple minutes. But man, I'm thrilled. I hope all the rest of you Knightscope investors out there are too. I hope nobody sold on opening day. At a 30% loss, or I mean, maybe it was a gain. Some of you got in years ago at $3, but man, that's incredible, and I'm thrilled. And where does the future take us? I don't know. Maybe I'll get to that in a minute, but it was pretty crazy. Um, Even the after hours volume. I had this open. I was looking. This is from Nasdaq. The after hours volume was 3.7 million shares. That's a lot, because that's even more than 10. That's like 15% of the 50% of the volume we had for the day, and that feels high to me. I don't track after hours all that much, but usually when I see it in companies, it's the volume is so low, it's just not important. Um, but another thing I did want to call out that I like that I'm super thrilled, I guess I should say, that we had our high volume day when the price was up in the way back up above listing price, right? And it would be scarier to me, or I'd be a lot more worried if we had our high volume day when we were down, because sort of your volume weighted average price would be much lower in that case. But man, that was incredible. Even volume picked up throughout the day. So that was crazy. But here we are, and it could drop back down the next day. We'll find out. But let's talk a little about what did happen. One material piece of information was released, and that is, Knightscope, they got another Fortune 500 company, and I know they have at least one. I know at one point I think they had a couple. I know they called a couple out by name years ago. I don't know if they're still clients. They had XPO Logistics was listed as a client. I think they had a bank, Citizens Bank, maybe. I could be wrong on that. And I don't know if those are Fortune 500 companies, technically speaking, but I know that they've announced large companies in the past, and that was. But hey, this is great. Now, the one interesting thing that I did want to comment on when I was reading this in detail, you even see it here on the image here. It's a Securitas logo. Let me see if I can open that up bigger. Yeah, you can see it much larger there. That they've put on there, and I can't tell if this is an actual photo or a Photoshop thing. They obviously they do a mix of both in some of their PRs. This one looks like a real photo, but I can't tell for sure. But the interesting thing about this, of course, it's very interesting they added it to a Fortune 500 company, because presumably any company that's a Fortune 500 is going to have a need for more than one robot if they like this one, which is something we talk about in the future in terms of how I see them actually expanding and growing to capture some of that huge total addressable market that I mentioned a couple streams ago. But the interesting thing here, I'm getting to it, is this Knightscope channel partner, right? And so I'm reading this as Securitas was the one that actually has the relationship with this Fortune 500 company, and they are bringing in the robots. And that really makes me wonder, a couple things there. I mean, on one hand, that's like super bullish, right? Because Securitas already has relationships, presumably with a bunch of different companies. And if they start incorporating the Knightscope robots into their security, programs, their security, plans with all of these pre-existing companies. I mean, man, that's a big. I don't know how big Securitas is. Maybe we should let's take a look at that. Just look at Wikipedia. They are publicly traded. Been around for 88 years. Yeah, this is I don't know, KR. 100 billion KR in revenue in 2020. Granted, 2020 is not the best year in US dollars. How much is that? Oh man, I gotta count the commas. Thousands, millions, billions. $120 billion of revenue. Oh no, those are euros. KRs? KR. I did that wrong. Swedish krona, is that right? Yep, Stockholm. Okay, so $11 billion. Yeah, I mean, it's in the billions. That's huge, right? I mean, that's got to be a lot of companies. I wonder how many clients. Sure, we could dig it up somewhere. Clients, customers. No, I mean, I'm not going to get it this quickly. Maybe I'll find that for the future when I do a deeper dive into what does it mean for these Knightscope channel partners. But yeah, that could be a huge opportunity. Another thing that makes me wonder how does that impact the unit economics of the robot, right? If you I think I talked through this on one of the previous streams, and you can find it in the investor presentation about how much Knightscope charges for these, how much revenue they get, right, and then how much it costs them, to service the robot and to just build a robot up front. And I wonder how this Knightscope channel partner program that they have set up impacts those, right? Should we be expecting less revenue because do they share some of that with Securitas? I don't know. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Securitas, that's my best guess. Anyways, hey, it's great, and this is a common theme that I've seen. This patrolling a newly constructed parking structure in an effort to deter car thieves, loitering and criminal trespassing, and it really seems like they're pushing this as a meter maid, right? Somebody the robot goes around and checks all the parking garages. So the fact that I'm seeing a lot of those at least tells me that it must work for that. And hey, if there's a lot of parking garages around, so if they get a corner on that market, I mean that's a big opportunity. Yeah, and I do think they've touted their ability to read. I can't remember the number. I want to say like 100 license plates a minute or something like that. It's a pretty big number, right? More than a human could do, and I think that helps them. That helps them really sell the story of the robots can do more than what a human can do, and the robots are better at monotonous things, right? Like no human's gonna go through and look at and track every license plate that's sitting around in your parking lot or parking garage. But that's a good fit for the robot to do something that humans can't do, and to alert when certain conditions are met, right? When a car has been there for multiple days or whatever the particular criteria is. I think that's great. So now we get to the fun question. Now that we've at least covered that, what drove this humongous rally in the stock in one day after it just tanked the day before? Let's zoom out. Zoom out for another 4 trading hours and see that first day here where we just dropped and tanked. It was nothing but red that whole day, and that's you can see right here that this big spike in volume down there, and this where I got the line there is the end of Thursday, beginning of Friday, and it's basically as down as it went on Thursday. It went even more up on Friday, and I think I talked a little bit about what might have caused the huge drop on Thursday. And honestly, it's all supply and demand, and you had a lot of people who've bought this company over the past, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, something like that. I'm not sure when they first did the $3 fundraising, $3 per share fundraising round. But I know it's been many years for people. I know I've been invested in it for multiple years, since 2018 or 2019, somewhere around there. And I think you probably had a lot of people who I think I mentioned this, didn't see the growth that they were expecting to see when they invested and just wanted to get their money out because they were not sure they were ever going to see $10 again. So, and they invested at lower amounts, right? So they were happy to sell for, if you invested at 3 and you sold for even even the closing on that day was like 590, like you still almost doubled your money. Um, but so then the more fun question is, what drove this rally up? And I mean, to be frank, I think most people who invested in 2018 or in 2019, 2020, or even in 2021 in the most recent offering. And for them, the story hasn't changed, right? We already knew that the company wasn't rocketing up in revenue growth in the past couple of years, but we sort of have an understanding of why. And, for as much as we've invested in it, like the story hasn't changed. We haven't seen, nobody's gotten the return that they were hoping to get, right? You don't take the risk of buying into a private company that is, valued at 100 times price to sale, something like that, and sell for a 10. Even this, you're not going to sell for a 60% gain. At least I don't intend to, right? That's not my target, right? My target is multiples of this personally, and I think probably for most other people, they invested in Knightscope because a company with this much uncertainty and risk, because they expected to get a bigger jump, a multiple of their money returned back, not just even double digit percentages. And maybe some people are jumping up because they got the return so quick, right? If you just invested in December at $10 and now you're getting 16 and maybe even $22 for your shares, like, yeah, sure, that's good for some people, but I also think you have a lot of people, I'll be honest, who do treat this as something they believe in, that they actually invested to improve the security because they think that the product can actually improve the security. I mean, I know I could see that being very appealing to folks, especially when we start talking about some of the more parking structures. You're like, that would sure be nice. It'd be nice to have lower crime there, but when you start talking about some of the more emotional places, like getting these deployed in schools, there's a lot of people who would be happy to have a robot go patrolling constantly as a solution to bolster up the security of schools and make you feel better about your kids. So I think there's a lot of people who just invested because they want to support the company. Yeah, and I think another thing. This is pure speculation. I don't know. I have no idea if it happened on this day. I'm going to be checking and finding what information I can over as it's released over the next couple of weeks and months. But you might also see some funds and some ETFs that are starting to include Knightscope in them. I intend to do a future live stream, future video of some sort talking about some of those because I've started putting a spreadsheet together, and I'll have some more to say about that. But that could move that will move some serious volume, and that will be interesting, right? When those funds buy in, some of them might be buying low single digit percentages of the company, and that's frankly a lot of shares, because there's a good chunk of this that is held by insiders. There's a good chunk of this who are held by retailers that like myself, that, hey, I invested like $8 a share. I'm not a venture capitalist who invested at 30 cents a share, and now I'm already up 30x on my money, and sure, I'll trim some of that position. I haven't. I guess from my at $22, I've doubled my money, which is great. But again, I didn't invest in Knightscope for a double. I invested in it for much. Partly because I believe in the vision, partly because I think it's an opportunity to get more like 10x, not 2x on your money. And I think there's probably a lot of other people who feel the same way. So that'll be interesting. Anyways, that's my way of saying I think there's a lot of retailers with diamond hands that are just holding, and and I think that'll continue for a while. And you got to wonder, is this huge spike up gonna hold? I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out on Monday and throughout next week. And another question I might ask is this good for us? And I don't know about that either. There's certainly at the present moment, there's not a dip for me to buy if I felt like buying a dip. I didn't have cash in place for the dip down to 590 on Thursday, but for some folks that might be pretty appealing if we were lower to buy more. On the flip side, this definitely marked us as a very volatile stock. If we had fallen down to about $6 and traded around $6 for the next couple months, that would we might not have so much of a, what do you say, a high beta as the calculation goes, right? We wouldn't be marked as such a high volatile stock, and maybe options would be cheaper. You don't know if that's good or bad if options are more expensive, but clearly we're going to be a very volatile stock. Another reason as to that I was going to mention that why this might have happened near the end of the day is the chart near the end of the day does look very much like the NASDAQ, right? The overall market. At the end of the day, it had this little, kind of flat area and dipped down and then just, steep upwards movement. Granted, the magnitude of that movement in Knightscope stock was way larger than the market. That was almost up another 100% from this bottom of this. I guess it was up 60%, right? This year we're talking up like 1 or 2% rather than up 60%. But the shape of the graph is at least similar, and maybe we'll start trading more highly correlated with the market, and that might be, if that's the case, I'd be thrilled about that, because I think the market is, in general, if you zoom out over here, the market has been in an uptrend for years and years. I think there's no reason to think that won't generally continue, other than this recent dip, right? And if we actually listed and we'd start trading with it here, and that corrects from that dip and goes back up, that might be pretty nice price appreciation on top of where we are right at the moment. But again, we'll see. Yeah, I'm excited. I hope you're excited. Again, I think this is going to be a wild ride. I think it's going to be a lot of volatility, but I'm looking forward to it. And as I've mentioned before, I plan to hold for a while. So, all right, I am going to hop off. Thank you for watching.